Welcome back to the channel, tennis fans. And if you are tuning in right now, you are witnessing the dawn of a completely new era in women's tennis. Breaking news coming straight from the hallowed, pristine lawns of the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Wimbledon has officially been put on notice. Alex Eala, the 21-year-old Filipina sensation, has just delivered an absolute masterclass on grass, stunning Mexico's Renata Zarazúa in their opening round clash. But when I say stunned, I do not mean this was a gritty back-and-forth marathon that ended in a nail-biting tiebreak. No, this was total, unadulterated domination. From the moment the first ball was tossed into the London sky, Eala was operating on an entirely different frequency, dismantling her opponent with a level of precision, power, and poise that we rarely see in a first-round opener at a Grand Slam. Coming into this tournament carrying the immense, historic weight of being the first-ever player from the Philippines to be seated at a major, holding the 29th seed and sitting comfortably at world number 30. The expectations were astronomical. Many wondered at the pressure of the moment, the bright lights of SW19, and the burden of an entire nation's hopes would cause her to tighten up. Instead, Eala embraced the spotlight and turned her court into her own personal exhibition. She did not just beat Zarazúa. She sent a definitive, resounding message to the rest of the locker room. This was a statement victory of the highest order, avenging a past loss to Zarazúa and proving that her spectacular grass court buildup over the last month was absolutely no fluke. Today, we are going to unpack every single layer of this monumental victory. We will break down the tactical brilliance Eala's showcase on the court, explore her unprecedented rise in this 2026 season, analyze what went wrong for her opponent, and look ahead to what this means for the rest of the tournament, because the horizon is looking incredibly bright, and a potential cinematic showdown with true tennis royalty might just be looming. So settle in, get comfortable, because this is a deep dive you will not want to miss. To truly understand the magnitude of what transpired on the court today, we have to look at the tactical execution Alex Eala put on display. Grass court tennis is a unique beast. It requires a specific skill set, lightning-fast reflexes, the ability to stay exceptionally low to the ground, and a willingness to step inside the baseline to dictate play. Eala checked every single one of those boxes today, and she did it with a ruthless efficiency that left fans and commentators speechless. From the very first game, it was abundantly clear that Eala had completely decoded Renata Zarazúa's game plan. The Mexican veteran, currently ranked 75th in the world, is known for her resilience, her heavy topspin, and her ability to grind opponents down in grueling rallies. But on the slick, skidding surface of Wimbledon, those heavy, looping ground strokes sit right in the strike zone for an aggressive player. Eala recognized this immediately. Instead of retreating and engaging in long baseline exchanges, the Filipina stepped inside the court, taking the ball astonishingly early on the rise. By doing so, she robbed Zarazúa the one thing she desperately needed: time. Eala's forehand was an absolute weapon of mass destruction out there. She was flattening it out, driving it through the court with incredible pace and depth, completely neutralizing Zarazúa's defensive slices. But what was perhaps most impressive was Eala's footwork. The grass can be treacherous, especially in the opening days of the tournament when the courts are lush and slippery. Yet, Eala moved with the grace of a seasoned veteran. Her micro-adjustments before striking the ball were flawless, allowing her to generate massive power even when stretched wide. And let's talk about her serve. Historically, Eala has been known more for her formidable return game than an overpowering serve, but today, she was hitting her spots with pinpoint accuracy. She mixed up the pace beautifully, using the slice serve out wide on the ad court to pull Zarazúa completely off the playing surface, before driving a flat backhand down the line into the open space. It was textbook, first strike tennis. Zarazúa was constantly off balance, guessing wrong on returns, and visibly frustrated by her inability to dictate a single point on her own terms. The scoreboard reflected a match that was one-way traffic from the coin toss to the final handshake, a clinical dismantling that left zero doubt as to who the superior player was on this surface. What makes this total domination even sweeter for Eala and her camp is the history between these two players. To the casual observer, this might just look like a lopsided first-round match, but true tennis aficionados know the backstory here. We have to rewind the clock back to August of 2024. In the quarterfinals of the ITF W100 event in Cary, North Carolina, a much younger, less experienced Alex Eala squared off against Zarazúa on the hard courts. In that encounter, Zarazúa used her veteran savvy to drag Eala into a brutal, grueling 3-set war of attrition, eventually walking away with a victory. That loss in 2024 was a learning moment, a bitter pill to swallow for a rising star trying to find her footing against seasoned tour veterans. But the Alexandra Eala that stepped onto the Wimbledon grass today is a completely different athlete from the teenager who lost in North Carolina 2 years ago. The physical maturation is evident. She is stronger, faster, and more robust. But the real evolution has been mental and tactical. Today's performance was a showcase of high tennis IQ. Where the Eala of 2024 might have gotten impatient and gone for low-percentage winners during extended rallies, the 2026 version of Eala understood exactly how to construct the point, maneuver her opponent into a vulnerable position, and then pull the trigger. She did not just avenge that 2024 defeat. She completely rewrote the narrative, proving that her ceiling is infinitely higher. It is also worth noting that these two actually know each other's games incredibly well, having teamed up to play doubles at the French Open just last year. When you have shared the same side of the net with someone, you learn their habits, their tendencies under pressure, and their structural weaknesses. Eala clearly did her homework, exploiting Zarazúa's weaker second serve and aggressively attacking her forehand wing whenever it dropped short. T.O. put today's phenomenal victory into proper context. We have to look at the broader landscape of Alexandra Eala's 2026 season, because what she has accomplished over the past few weeks is nothing short of extraordinary. The grass court swing is famously short and unforgiving. Many top players struggle to adapt their movement and timing in the brief window between the clay of Roland Garros and the lawns of Wimbledon. But Eala, she has taken to the grass like an absolute natural. Her preparation for this tournament has been impeccable. She kicked off her grass court campaign by capturing the WTA 125 Birmingham Classic title, a massive confidence booster that proved she could win on this tricky surface. She outlasted incredibly tough opponents, showcasing a newfound resilience. But the real earthquake happened shortly after at the WTA 500 Berlin Tennis Open. That was the tournament where the tennis world truly woke up to the threat Eala poses. In a giant slaying run that dominated the headlines, she stunned the reigning world number 2, Elena Rybakina, in the second round. Let that sink in. She defeated Rybakina, a former Wimbledon champion and one of the biggest servers in the history of the women's game, on a surface tailor-made for power. But she didn't stop there. Eala followed up that seismic upset by taking down another titan of the sport, Alina Svitolina, before eventually bowing out in the semifinals to the red-hot Linda Noskova. Those back-to-back top-tier victories were a revelation. They signaled that Eala was no longer just a promising prospect from the Rafa Nadal Academy. She had officially arrived as a legitimate contender, and her preparation wasn't solely focused on singles. In a move that showcased her deep respect for the history of the game and her desire to learn from the absolute best, Eala teamed up with none other than 5-time Wimbledon singles champion Venus Williams to play doubles at the Bad Homburg Open just days before arriving in London. Reaching the quarterfinals alongside a grass court legend like Venus is an education you simply cannot put a price on. Imagine the insights, the tactical nuances, and the championship mentality that Venus shared with her during those matches and practice sessions. You could see fragments of that legendary Williams intensity in Eala's eyes today. The way she stalked the baseline, the unwavering focus between points, the refusal to give away a single free point. That is the mark of a player who is absorbing greatness and channeling it into her own game. While we have to give immense credit to Eala for executing a flawless game plan, it is also crucial for our analysis to examine the other side of the net. What exactly went wrong for Renata Zarazúa today? How does an experienced, gritty competitor get completely played off the court in a Grand Slam opener? First and foremost, it comes down to surface compatibility. Zarazúa is a phenomenal athlete, and her fighting spirit is undeniable. However, her game is inherently built for the dirt. She thrives on clay courts, where she has the time to set up her heavy, looping ground strokes, slide into her defensive positions, and grind her opponents into submission through sheer consistency. Grass completely negates those strengths. The ball stays incredibly low, stripping away the effectiveness of heavy topspin. If you do not have the natural ability to bend your knees, stay low, and hit cleanly through the ball on a flat trajectory, you are going to struggle immensely at Wimbledon. Zarazúa looked uncomfortable from the opening warm-up. Her footwork, which is usually a massive asset, looked tentative. She was slipping, hesitating on her split steps, and frequently finding herself jammed by the skidding ball. Eala recognized this discomfort and ruthlessly exploited it by keeping the ball deep and flat, forcing Zarazúa to hit defensive squash shots from her back foot. Furthermore, Zarazúa's serve simply lacked the firepower necessary to earn free points on grass. In the modern women's game, if you are rolling a high 80s or low 90s mile-per-hour first serve into the box on a grass court against an elite returner, you are essentially serving batting practice. Eala was teeing off on Zarazúa's deliveries, consistently hitting returns that landed within inches of the baseline, immediately putting the Mexican on the defensive in her own service games. Once that psychological pressure mounts, the feeling that you have to hit a perfect serve just to stay neutral in the rally, the double faults start creeping in, and the unforced errors pile up. Zarazúa simply had no answers, no plan B, and unfortunately for her, Eala showed absolutely zero mercy. We also cannot talk about this victory without discussing the immense cultural and historical weight resting on Alex Eala's shoulders. The Philippines has an incredibly passionate sports fan base, a nation that rallies behind its athletes with a fervor that is practically unmatched globally. But historically, tennis has not been the sport where the country has seen profound international success, particularly at the Grand Slam level. Eala is changing that entire paradigm single-handedly. By stepping on the court today as a 29 seed, she broke a massive barrier, becoming the first Filipina in the long, storied history of tennis to be seated at a major. The pressure that accompanies that kind of milestone is enough to crush many young athletes. We have seen highly touted prodigies crumble under the expectations of their home countries. Yet, Eala seems to draw energy from it. She spoke during her media day interviews about how the pressure she feels on the court is nothing compared to what regular Filipinos face in their daily lives, demonstrating a profound sense of perspective and maturity that is incredibly rare for a 21-year-old. A massive part of this mental fortitude has been forged in the crucible of the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, where Eala has trained for years. When you are molded in an environment built by one of the fiercest, most relentless competitors the sport of tennis has ever seen, that DNA inevitably rubs off on you. Nadal's philosophy is built on suffering, on fighting for every single point as it were your last, and on never, ever showing your opponent a fraction of weakness. We saw that philosophy materialize in Eala's performance today. Even when she was up a double break, cruising toward the finish line, she never took her foot off the gas. She was pumping her fists, demanding perfection from herself on every single swing. That relentless professionalism is what separates good players from great ones, and it is a terrifying prospect for the rest of the women's draw. So what comes next? Eala has successfully navigated the treacherous first round, shaking off whatever nerves she might have had, and she did so while expending minimal physical energy. This is a crucial factor in Grand Slam tennis. Winning quickly and efficiently in the early rounds preserves the legs for the grueling battles that inevitably await in the second week. Looking at the draw, things are about to get incredibly interesting. The whispers around the grounds of the All-England Club are already starting to amplify because a massive blockbuster storyline is potentially brewing. The brackets have aligned in such a way that Eala might find herself staring across the net at absolute tennis royalty in the upcoming rounds. I am talking, of course, about Serena Williams. The 23-time Grand Slam champion made headlines around the world when she announced her return to professional singles tennis on a wild card this year, stepping back onto grass for the first time since 2022. If the stars align and both women advance, we are looking at a generational clash that will completely captivate the sporting world. On one side, the undisputed greatest of all time, looking for one last moment of glory on the courts she has dominated for decades. On the other side, the fearless, rising 21-year-old star, representing the future of the sport and an entire nation hungry for a champion. Eala has already proven she is not afraid of big names. Just ask Rybakina and Svitolina. A match against Serena will be the ultimate test of her nerve, her composure, and her rapidly evolving game. But even if that specific matchup does not materialize, the path forward is wide open for Eala. The women's draw has been wildly unpredictable on grass in recent years. If Eala continues to serve with the precision she showed today, and if she maintains that aggressive first strike baseline mentality, there is absolutely no reason why she cannot make a deep, magical run into the second week. She has the tools, she has the form, and most importantly, she clearly has the unshakable belief that she belongs on this stage, competing for the biggest trophies in the sport. To wrap things up, what we witnessed today was not just a tennis match. It was a coronation of a new contender on the world stage. Alexandra Eala's utter demolition of Renata Zarazúa was a masterful display of grass court tennis, a profound statement of intent from a player who is rapidly coming into her prime. She absorbed the pressure of making history for the Philippines and transformed it into sheer, unstoppable power. She erased the demons of her past loss to Zarazúa and showcased a devastatingly effective, highly tactical game plan that leaves us all wondering just how high her ceiling truly is in this tournament. As the sun sets over the All England Club on this opening Tuesday, the buzz around the grounds is palpable. The 29th seed has arrived, and she is taking absolutely no prisoners. The rest of the draw has officially been put on notice. Now, I want to hear from all of you in the comment section down below. What did you think of Alex Eala's performance today? Were you as blown away by her aggression and footwork on the grass as I was? And more importantly, how deep do you think she can go in this tournament? Are we looking at a dark horse for the Wimbledon title? And how badly do you want to see that potential blockbuster matchup against Serena Williams? Let me know your thoughts, predictions, and analysis down in the comments. I will be reading through and responding to as many as I can. If you enjoyed this deep dive analysis, please make sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. And if you have not already, hit subscribe and turn on those notification bells so you never miss an update. We will be providing comprehensive daily coverage of Wimbledon 2026, breaking down all the biggest matches, the shocking upsets, and incredible storylines as they unfold over the next 2 weeks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of the tennis, and I will see you all in the next video.